Take it off! 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 Take it off!
It's just a sad place for me.
Abel Ortiz praying before telling us about June 11th, 2000 in Central Park.
Women got violated. Bad.
It was a hot day. The Puerto Rican Day Parade was wrapping up. Ortiz, 22 at the time, was on his way back to the Bronx.
I was walking home this way.
Walking towards Columbus Circle to catch the D train.
I noticed what appeared to me as the world having fun.
A crowd of men and women in the park.
It was like something out of spring break.
Men filling bottles with water from the horse's trough to pour on women. What eventually unfolded, nothing less than pure terror for more than 50 victims. Their clothes torn off, attacked by a mob of men.
And I yelled over to my wife. I said, look, that's on the news. She said, you sure you didn't do any of that? I said, I know I didn't do any of that.
He was like, babe, I tried to help a girl and you know, it was crazy and I left.
How am I gonna tell my kids that daddy's not coming home for a while?
For Bridget Ortiz, the nightmare feels like it was just yesterday. Her husband became a wanted man after a woman from Maryland who was in town for the parade came forward about her assault. The man with the tattoo was holding my arms to the side so I couldn't move from anybody, she'd later testify. He grabbed my breast. He said aloud, "You guys are taking this too far." Then he started laughing at me. Prosecutors showing Ortiz a freeze frame of his face at the scene.
I was in shock. I was like, holy. And as soon as I said that, she said, book him.
Ortiz tried to find himself on video to prove his innocence, making a promise to his wife.
I told her, I don't know how I'm gonna prove this, but I'm gonna prove this.
What'd you tell him?
Can you just not focus on that stuff for one day? I don't want to keep looking at these videos. I hated it.
Until one day, Ortiz finally stumbled upon video of him and his accuser.
And I'm pushing these guys off of her. I'm excited, I'm angry, I'm relieved. I'm a free man.
Ortiz says his lawyer informed him the DA was trying to strike a deal on rioting.
He says, well, if you don't take that charge, they're gonna give you 4 counts of sexual abuse, 7 counts of rioting in the first degree, 7 counts of assault in the second degree with 7 different females.
This was a Manhattan prosecution team overzealously charging black and brown kids.
Christopher Carrion, part of a criminal defense team now analyzing this case 20 years later.
He's the perfect poster child for the wild ghetto boys of the South Bronx and Harlem and Uptown, and I think they did a number on him.
Ortiz did not take that deal and went to trial with 2 other defendants.
Watching the videotapes, I was actually shocked to see him helping women.
Defense attorney Laura Miranda has been advising Ortiz on his case ever since he was released from prison.
You see Abel when the girls are laughing, he's laughing, but then at times when it gets a little out of control, you see him get in between and shove and push men and tell them to stop.
One woman testifying in front of a grand jury on Ortiz's efforts to help her. I remember him saying, "What the f***? Leave her alone."
They almost had me believing I was guilty of this.
Although a jury found Ortiz not guilty of sexual abuse against his original accuser, he was convicted of rioting and assault on 7 other women. But Ortiz says he had left the scene before their attacks.
I got convicted for something I didn't do for 7 people I never seen a day in my life.
Ortiz's lawyers say in order for him to be convicted of assaulting those women, prosecutors had to prove he was guilty of riot in the first degree. Under the law, a person is guilty of that charge when simultaneously with 10 or more other persons, he or she engages in tumultuous and violent conduct, and in the course of and as a result of such conduct, a person suffers physical injury.
I mean, he wasn't there simultaneously at the time, you know, when the incidents occurred.
But Judge Bernard Freed saw it differently, telling the jury they could find Ortiz guilty of rioting if they determined his actions while at the scene fueled what later happened to those 7 women after he left. Former federal prosecutor Cheryl Bader explains.
The New York court was really saying to him, once you set a train on a track and put it in motion, if there's someone there at the end of the track, you can't just walk away and wash your hands of it and say, well, I wasn't even there when the train collided.
The judge during sentencing letting Ortiz have it, as the woman in the pink top and white shorts is tearfully pulling her top back up over her fully exposed left breast. You're standing less than a foot away, clapping your hands. Ortiz appealed the conviction on the grounds the law did not provide fair notice the conduct he was engaging in was illegal. But the Court of Appeals for the Second Circuit upheld the conviction.
Now we expect more in the criminal law, that if you're going to engage in what you think is just kind of a fun riot and boys being boys with scantily clad women, that we're holding you to a higher standard.
Ortiz spent more than 4 years in prison. He was one of 18 men ultimately convicted in the attacks.
My actions were most definitely immoral. They were not criminal.
We attempted to reach out to Ortiz's original accuser, but did not receive a response. We also tried to speak with some of the other survivors, some of whom declined to comment. An assistant for now former trial judge Freed said he declined to comment. The assistant district attorneys who prosecuted this case were either not allowed to give an interview or declined.